Hello. Before we get started, I'd like to do some word association. So we'll start with tennis, and could be composed of the number 10 and ness, so 10ness. Then you can add 5 to that and you get 15ness. And then you could move the 15 to the back and start with pen. So you have pen 15. Pen starts with PE, which is physical education. And then education could mean like a master's degree. And so with a master's degree, if you look at degree specifically, that would be like the degree between an angle, and an angle you could see like a triangle. And then from a triangle you could probably get a relation between angles, something like a sine, a cosine, or a tangent. Now a tan could also mean like someone's skin gets tanned, and that could be from the sun, which is also a homophone for son, which is, like father, son, child. Okay, that's the end of my word association. I think these videos are changing me because I am speaking, like, whatever, having conversation maybe, talking to my camera, of course, or, another human being. And there's nothing going on in my brain. I have no other thoughts. I'm thoughtless. I'm without thought. And I am only just speaking and listening. And so here comes a little problem. If the other person also has no thought, then there's no new stimulus for the conversation. So it's always going to be circular, right? And this is problematic because speaking to people is something I greatly enjoy. But I can only be a reflection of one's, whoever I'm talking to. I'm only a reflection of them through what they say to me. And unfortunately, this circular conversation is not very intellectually stimulating. So if I maybe am in this friendship, okay, and there's a culture of being okay with silence, then the silence is going to cause, not conversation, and I like conversation. So what I need to do is probably, have my own thoughts, but how would I go about doing that? I don't know. Did I have thoughts before I started making videos? Did I have thoughts ever? I hope so. Maybe my mind is just too well exercised, and now it's all mushy. And now I can only think about doing tasks like my, for instance, if I were to do solving a series or a sequence or a summation, I could do that, kind of. But that doesn't require, talking to people. And so maybe, all this math that I'm doing is making me worse at conversation. Or it's the fact that I am speaking to myself for 15 minutes a day, minimum, and have no new thoughts. Or I have too high of a filter. And so the filter that I have in my brain is automatically processing out thoughts before I even think about them that are not related to the conversation. Whenever I could be making more judgments, and these judgments could lead to more thoughts. And so me being a non-judgmental person means that I'm automatically removing those thoughts, which means that I have nothing to work with whenever I'm trying to converse. And maybe I just need to be more judgmental. And more importantly, these videos have also been changing the way that I speak, and means I take more breaks. I have more like long pauses, and I want to speak more eloquently and have my words flow beautifully outside, and people hearing these beautifully eloquent words that very easily flow together, that paints a picture in one's mind of what I am trying to tell them, much like Purple Elephant, or words that make you imagine something. A lot of what I say is ambiguous and not real, kind of intangible, not something you can easily imagine, like Purple Elephant. But whenever I'm talking about like the relationship dynamic between friendships in which there's a culture of disengagement, where you're not engaged in conversation, that's a lot harder to imagine in one's mind. And so this is kind of my communication block, where I don't have the ability to give people vivid imagery unless there's already a lot of like built up ideas from previous conversations where they understand what I'm talking about. And so packaging what I'm trying to say into something understandable and vivid is difficult. 'Cause like, you could say some like banger bars like, do you tear out my heart because you can't stand to see it go? And that, boom, instantly gives you a vivid like image in your mind of what I mean by that. Of like, do you harm me because you cannot not see me? Because you must see me. Because you need me, right? And so you harm me because you need me. And that dichotomy can be very easily given to anybody through, do you tear up my heart because you cannot stand to see it go? And it's just beautiful. And if I could speak like that, that would be beautiful. Unfortunately, I am not spitting fire bars all the time, and have to kind of understand where I'm trying to go with this, whatever I'm trying to say. And so having more, I guess, like, it's not even metaphorical, because it's just a vivid statement, but communicating in more vivid statements is better because you understand them. The communication of it is so much easier than the relationship between two friends where one is incredibly attached and fears disengagement, and therefore harms the relationship in order to keep it contained or together. Which is the same idea, right? But it is not fire bars. So maybe I can think up of some way where I can practice my fire bars, or maybe just come up with some of my own eventually. I mean, I've been writing more recently, and so perhaps with these ideas, like recently I wrote, I do not bare my teeth nor shed my tears. And I'm talking about like inability to be emotional, where, you know, you're not violent or angry, but you're also not sad and able to cry. You're more of like an empty vessel, a husk. And I think it's called anathemia or something, but the inability to process emotions. And I've been wanting to make a song on that idea. And so I've been trying to get some fire bars written down that I can use. That cause, like, vivid imagination. Because you can imagine baring teeth or shedding tears. These are concepts of, like, actions. And tearing out your heart or seeing you go. These are actions. These are not ambiguous ideas that come from static characters. They're moving. It gives them life. I need to give my words life. Hopefully I can give my words life if I keep practicing. Anyways, totals.